Honestly, these climate alarmists, they just do my head in, don't they? If you don't agree with their hysteria or their taxes, they brand you a climate denier. I get it all the time, never mind that I'm probably more informed on climate change science than most of these activists, and Justin there throwing the same stuff at Andrew Bolt. Andrew Bolt's all over this stuff. If you saw his show last night, a fantastic exposition he had on the program about the APCC sixth report and what it meant and all the factual data in there. Honestly, really, it's not a polarised world of denier versus science. There's policy choices, and you can deal with issues sensibly or you can be an alarmist. Now, I highlighted it at the start of the show, this breaking story that I think is shocking. Our Olympic athletes who have been doing us so proud in Tokyo, living in a COVID bubble, all fully vaccinated, tested just about every day, have to do 2 weeks quarantine when they come back to Australia. The South Australians are going to have to do an additional 2 weeks of home isolation when they get back to their home state. It's an outrage, and I'm joined now by the CEO of the Australian Olympic Committee, Matt Carroll. Thanks for joining us, Matt. You must be just disgusted by this.
Well, it's not just disgusting. I guess it's the disappointment is not the right word for it. I'm very upset for the athletes. I'm upset for the athletes' families. There is no reason for us. We put in a submission to the South Australian government. We have followed all the protocols. We have asked for nothing special, nothing at all. We put a submission in for an exemption for all those reasons that you just went through. The team, before they went to Tokyo, spent 14 days in preparations. They were tested there. They've been tested every day while they've been in Tokyo. There's been no outbreak of COVID in the Australian village in Tokyo. They were tested before they got on the plane. They were tested in quarantine. They are all fully vaccinated.
Matt, you were starting to choke up there. I mean, this is the important thing, right? These athletes, this is the biggest thing in their lives. They've put everything into this. There'd be nothing they'd be more desperate to do than to embrace their families. And we all understand quarantine and restrictions, but this is a bridge too far, surely.
Well, it is, because I said they've done nothing wrong. They've gone to represent their country, and the AOC has gone to extreme lengths to look after them, get them to Tokyo, make sure be able to compete at the highest level in the world, and come back safely. And every other state has respected that. This only applies to South Australia. We got as many as we could onto the charters into Darwin, but obviously we couldn't get everybody on those charters the way that we had to get the athletes out of the village. So it is literally these 15 athletes coming into South Australia, fully vaccinated, tested within. I offered to get them tested again every day while they're back in Adelaide. But
could you get could the Prime Minister help out? Could we get a defence jet to fly them in a bubble from Sydney back to South Australia?
They will leave quarantine. They'll go directly to the airport. They are virtually in that bubble, as you want to call it. But it's not this that so there is no reason for it. We had our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. David Hughes, who's also the AIS Chief Medical Officer. We gave that advice to the government, the Chief Medical Officer, and also through to their appeals panel. The problem with it, there's been no response. There's been no reasons given why the application was declined. I mean, if you have a system where you can apply for an exemption, surely, therefore, you must give the reasons why you deny that exemption. We've had nothing from either the Chief Medical Officer or from the ministers.
We will follow it up. Thanks so much for joining us at late notice, Matt. I appreciate it.
No, thank you very much.
Matt Carroll there. What a terrible way to treat our Olympic athletes. We'll follow this up for you tomorrow.